Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. I'm Alana, VP of Marketing at Thematic, and I'm really happy to be here with you. Over the next 20 minutes, we're going to walk you through a significant shift in how Thematic works, and then we're going to spend a little bit of time at the end for Q&A, so you can drop any questions into the chat or use the Q&A feature, and we'll tackle the questions at the end of the demo. I'm just going to give you some context, and then I'm going to hand over to Eddie, our product manager, and he'll show you exactly how Thematic delivers in practice. All right. Today, one more thing. Sorry, there is going to be a poll. Please do vote. Towards the end, your input will help us discover what's useful to share in webinars in the future, because we've got a lot of innovation coming out and we want to discover what's most useful for you. All right, today we're excited to introduce a new chapter for Thematic, one that solves a growing problem. Enterprises are collecting, as you know, more feedback than ever. Surveys, reviews, support tickets. We've got customers dealing with millions of transcripts coming through. So the data is there, but businesses are still remaining insights poor. I'll explain this in the context of experience management. Here are the most common feedback channels that we see across the customers that we work with. Hopefully you can identify with most of these sources. But the reality is that teams are overwhelmed by the sheer volume and complexity of that feedback, all that's coming in a ton of different formats across dozens of channels. So in most companies, each channel is looked after by different teams, and they end up looking at customer feedback in their silos. These are the typical scenarios that we see each team is trying to solve with this data. And these are the bigger questions typically that we see companies are trying to resolve, but they're not addressed. And we know that teams talk about the importance of answering these questions, but when feedback is analyzed in isolation, the challenge is that there's just too much data gymnastics to get to that level of insight. And the result is that no one has the full picture. We believe that the best CX teams solve this with Thematic by building one unified view of their feedback from across all of their channels. And they customize that view so that different teams see what matters to their decisions. Operations teams can see what's causing friction. Marketing teams can see what's driving brand perceptions. And teams like regional teams can see things like cleanliness and cues. So today, we're introducing this new chapter for Thematic, the capability to deliver a trusted foundation of customer truth and customize it to different decisions without fragmenting the underlying data. Each lens will deliver what each team's needs with tailored metrics and recommended actions. Eddie's going to show you exactly how this works. So now I'm just going to head over to Eddie.
Cool. Thanks, Alana. Hey, everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Eddie, and I'm the product manager here at Thematic. And today I'm really excited to share on behalf of the team some of the cool things we've been working on to address what Alana just mentioned, starting with what we're calling lenses. So today, before lenses, most VoC platforms, including Thematic, you'll find that one data set or one data source results in one story. So you have an MPS survey, theme specific to that survey, and insights specific to that survey. You have app reviews, theme specific to the app reviews, and insights specifically for the app, call center, so on and so forth. We've just got 3 in this example, but in reality, I'm sure you know it can grow much larger than that. So fragmented stories for each data source is a problem that we're wanting to solve with lenses. So with lenses, this is how it looks in Thematic. Instead of each data source being fragmented into a separate story, we're able to unify those data sources into one lens, so you can get one unified story or one source of truth that goes across all your feedback channels. So instead of having separate themes and separate insights, you can have one set of themes. For this example, you could create a VoC lens with voice of customer themes, filter specific to voice of customer, and score specific to VoC as well, so that you can get strategic insights through one view, one lens that goes across all of your data sources that you want involved there. Another example of a lens that you could create is an operational one, like one for a store manager of a retail store. This lens could be used to track issues that an actual retail store manager can own and act on. So in this example, they could be interested in the data coming through MPS and call center transcripts, and have store-specific themes and filters specific to that store, and even have a custom predictive score, like a likelihood to return score, which made using our Thematic's scoring agent, which I'll go into a bit more later, to help the store manager own and act on their data, leading to more tactical insights that they can act on today. And we also have predicted actions, which we're going to talk about today, made using Thematic's actions agent to help teams do this. I'll go into this as well. So let's see how that looks. Let me show you how that looks in our actual Thematic org. So this is Brightmart. It's a fictional supermarket chain, and I'm pretending to be a CX agent in this organization. What you're looking at right now is a lens that we've set up called the voice of customer lens, like as the example from the slides. Inside the voice of customer lens, this is taking data from the App Store reviews, call center transcripts, Facebook reviews, and MPS surveys, all in one. So one unified story or holistic view across all your channels. You can even filter between these data sources at any time so that you're not stuck viewing them all together. If you want to drill down into MPS, you can still do that. And you can even do things like comparing MPS against app reviews, so on and so forth. But bringing all of these sources into one unified story, why is that important? Well, let me show you. We're currently in the analysis tools in Thematic, which some of you are familiar with. And scrolling to our themes, we can see a base theme of pricing that I've got selected, which has a sub-theme of egg pricing currently selected as well. On the right is all of the feedback about egg pricing coming from those 4 sources in one place. The first comment, a customer talks about a cracked egg that they found, and they're upset about that. We can see that that's coming from an App Store review. The next person talks about inflated egg prices. We see that it's coming through MPS. The third person talks about egg prices being higher than expected, and that's actually coming through a call center transcript. And it's this summary is summarized in Thematic, powered by AI. But at any point, you can go into the full conversation to go deep, and you can see here exactly what happened about the egg prices and how the agent responded. So that's your feedback, an example of how your feedback from multiple sources can be unified in one view for analysis. But we can go even deeper than that. Still with egg prices selected, I can scroll down, scrolling past some of our AI-powered summaries and deep dives that give you insights about any theme that you selected. Here we have our trends for egg pricing. The first graph at the top shows that the volume of people talking about egg pricing spiked around January. And that also had an impact on the score of this lens, a negative impact around that time as well. So we want to understand more about what's happening there. The score for this lens is a unified score that combines the scores of its sources, and we support weighting between those scores as well. I won't go too deep into that during this demo, but happy to answer questions later. Down here, we see the volume of egg pricing distributed by the data sources in this lens. Here we can see that the vast majority of people talking about egg pricing is actually coming through MPS rather than something like the call center. So we can see that this is more of a brand issue than an operational one. And that's the power of unifying, one example of the power of unifying your data sources into a lens. And this is great for strategic insights and reports at an org level, perhaps. But what if you're someone on the floor, someone more tactical, like a store manager. Well, what I could do is I could, as a store manager, be invited to this VoC lens, go to the filters, filter for my store. Let's say I am a store manager of Bright Mart supermarket chain in Staten Island, New York. With that filter applied, all of these comments and insights are now based on feedback specific to that store. It's great. It's a good start. But as a store manager, there's still so much noise here that I don't really care about because I can't act on it. For example, pricing, mobile app, website. These are things that, as a store manager, is just noise to me. I want to know things specific to the store that I can act on and change. And this is where you can create a new lens using the same data for the store manager. Let me quickly show you how that looks. So it's really simple to create a lens in Thematic. All you need to start is some data sets or into data sets in Thematic, a lens name and a description, and you can get started. So here I've already populated it, but the lens name is we're going to call it the store manager lens. And in the description, I wrote what a store manager might want. As a store manager, I want themes specific that I can directly control, like cleanliness, staff friendliness, signage, etc. And I don't want themes relating to pricing, corporate policy, supply chain, or digital products, things that I can't influence. These descriptions are fed into Thematic and help our themes agents generate tailored themes to meet the needs of this lens. Pressing continue lets you select which data sources you want to be a part of this lens. And I'm just going to uncheck App Store because as a store manager, I'm not really interested in most of that feedback. So I want to focus on MPS and call center feedback. And once you've selected that, you just click continue and it'll generate the lens. And for this demo, I've already got one set up for us so we can save time. Now we're looking at the store manager lens. And in here, there's the two data sets that we included, call center and MPS. And I've already filtered down to the Staten Island store, which I'm interested in as the Staten Island store manager. But what we can do, what Thematic also allows you to do is have these filters set as defaults or automatically so that you can create a lens specifically or a view specifically for the Staten Island store manager so they don't have to filter every time. That's an option as well. But immediately, if we scroll down, I can see that the themes here are much more specific and much more relevant to a retail store manager, with things like checkout operations, which wasn't there before, store layout, shopping experience, food safety. You can see things like pricing, website, and app no longer show up here, removing the noise and helping surface the things that matter to a store manager and things that they can act on. To kind of demonstrate that side by side, I'll zoom out a bit. On the left, you have the themes of the voice of customer lens in our theme editor view. And on the right, you have the store manager lens. On the left, you can see that checkout experience is nested and buried within the store experience base theme. Whereas on the right, in the store manager lens, the checkout experience becomes a base theme with granular sub-themes that describe exactly which part of the checkout experience is maybe causing issues or that customers are loving, like coupon failures, wait times, credit card issues, and checkout lanes. So the one on the right, hopefully, is already clear that it's much more valuable and specific, tailored for someone like a store manager. Cool. Coming back to the store manager lens, something I mentioned before is our scoring agent in Thematic that helps you build and create custom, what we're calling synthetic scores, that is AI powered to help you get the metrics that are relevant and matter to each team member. So to explain how this works briefly, we have in the store manager lens a likelihood to return score that we've built using our scoring agent. And what this is essentially doing is it's using AI to predict what would the customer have said had we asked them, how likely is it that you will come back to the store after this experience? With surveys, we're already asking so many questions, MPS scores, and a bunch of other questions. So we can't ask every granular question. So our scoring agent helps you ask predictive questions and get metrics based on what the customers actually said. So grounded in the truth of their verbatims, our agent predicts, if we had asked this question, this is the score they would have given. And that's in this example, that's the likelihood to return score, a 1 to 10 score that's been applied to every response by analyzing what they actually said. And this is great because now, as a store manager, this is the metric that I care about most. I can see it, I can track it, I can see its impact, and I can change things in the store and see how it changes that score. So right now I'm looking at the impact of that score on the themes. And one theme that stands out to me is food safety and handling as one of the top themes impacting that score negatively. So it looks like food safety and handling is leading to people not wanting to come back to my store, which is a problem. And that involves things like recalled products, food safety, product handling, and expiration dates, looking at the sub-themes. Again, I can go into the feedback panel on the right or our records panel to see the exact verbatims to understand more. The first one talks about recalled soft cheese product having contamination issues. That's not good. If I go into show details, I can see that it's a call center. It came through a call center call. So let's go into see the full context. Yeah, the customer talks about things that, oh man, the smells and dark spots seems like things that should have been caught before it was sold. And the agent does a great job responding and handling the situation. And at the end here, you can see that the customer says, okay, that sounds reasonable. Thank you for handling this thoroughly, even though it was more complicated than I expected. So it's a nice back and forth exchange, and the issue is resolved. So the CSAT score for this customer call is an 8. However, the likelihood to return is 2. So what this shows is that the score a customer gives on an MPO survey or as a follow-up survey after a call might be different, might be high, but the score that someone like the store manager cares about might not be reflected in that blunt metric. So our likelihood to return score reveals something that would not have been caught without our predictive score. That this person, although they had a good exchange with a customer call, is probably not likely to come back to the store unless we do something about it. With that food safety handling theme selected, let's scroll down again to the trends. This time we're breaking down all the comments that talked about food safety and handling by the likelihood to return score. And here we can see that the vast majority of people that are talking about food safety and handling are giving 1s and 2s as their likelihood to return, and then even 3s. So that's not good. This is having a big impact. So as a store manager, I know I need to do something about making sure expired products aren't on shelves and recalled products are handled better. I probably want to reach out to those customers who gave that feedback explicitly to try and win them back. So what do? This is where Thematic's actions come in. So we've built an actions agent to help you automatically identify what actions need to be taken based on the customer feedback. So that you don't have to dig through comments trying to figure out exactly what you need to do as a follow-up. Let me demonstrate this in our data view, which shows the feedback. This is currently showing the feedback related to, let me zoom in a bit more, the feedback related to the food safety and handling theme. And on the right, you can see that our actions agent has already tagged action items onto each row where it is relevant. These actions are guided and created with your input. Just like how we drove and guided the themes for store managers, we can do the same for predictive scores and predictive actions. Some actions have an add to make it right campaign, and some have none because not every feedback is going to need an action. So we do that automatically so you can come in here and see it. So that's an improvement. However, you don't want to be coming in here every day, filtering to specific themes, looking at this action and copy pasting these somewhere else. And let's say I want to let my marketing manager Eddie, know about all the customers that should be added to the Make It Right campaign. Instead of coming in here every day looking for new comments tagged with that action, what we can do is use thematic workflows to automate that. This is our screen for creating a workflow or an automation in Thematic. This is our action routing workflow. And here I've selected the store manager lens to monitor. And I've selected, hey, for this lens, whenever there is new data that comes into this lens that talks about food safety and handling and has the action add to Make It Right campaign, I want to notify some people in my team. So we can set what action should trigger based off of those conditions. And here I've got email, but our workflows can integrate with any task management system or tool. But to keep it simple, I'm sending myself an email whenever new data comes through, setting a simple subject, hey Eddie, customers to add to Make It Right campaign, and attaching a CSV with more details. To show an example of how that email looks when it's actually sent when new data comes through, this is what it looks like. It's got the title, the comments, and at the bottom, a CSV attached with all the details that you need, and a link to even see it in Thematic. One thing I forgot to mention, which I think is worth calling out, is when I'm setting up the lens, when I set up the store manager lens, I selected the MPS and call center, and these are the exact same data sources being used by the VoC lens. This is powerful because anytime new data comes through any of these sources, it doesn't just update one lens, it'll update every lens using that data. So it's the source of truth is kept the same. Cool. So coming back, we talked about the problem of fragmented stories. But now with lenses, we're unifying those stories through tailored lenses for each team member. We talked about blunt metrics and survey fatigue. We don't want to be asking 100 questions in surveys to get those granular details. We're solving that with our scoring agent, which builds predictive, actionable scores and metrics based on truth, based on real data. And currently, many insights can stay in reports and actionable insights because there's so much noise. But our actions agent helps automatically capture the actions and even send them to the right people so that to help close the loop instead of insights staying in reports. And today, every I think business, every good business would say they want their customer's voice to be at the heart of their decisions. But in reality, that's really hard with all the noise. And today, with AI tools available to everyone, insights are being generated faster than ever before off of those things. But what that means is also that insights are being fragmented faster than ever before by lots of different people across the enterprise. And we believe this is the opportunity for team members like yourselves in CX, VoC, insights teams to be able to bring clarity to those fragmented insights, consolidate it into unified stories, and make it actionable to each team or person in the organization. And that's exactly why we've built lenses, predictive scores, and predictive actions. And yeah, that's the demo of those things. And next, I guess we'd love to hear more about what you think about this. And we'd love to get these into your hands. If you're a customer already, you can reach out to your CSM, and we'd love to get these set up for you. We could do that even starting today. But first, just wondering if there's any questions that we can go through. Opening up the Q&A thing. Cool. How does weighting the different data sources work? So when you're configuring a lens, by default, there is no weighting. So you just see the raw values. But we've already gotten customer feedback from people testing lenses right now that in some scenarios, that doesn't make sense because an MPS survey might have 1 million responses, whereas the app review might only have 1,000 responses. So comparing them doesn't make sense directly. So weighting works by making them being treated with equal weighting as a default. So being treated as like a 1-to-1 ratio as a default. But we also allow you to adjust those weighting as flexibly as you like. You can say that even though app reviews has less responses, I want it to have a higher impact on the volume and insights that I see. So those will all be available for you to control. How long and detailed can the description of a lens be? Technically, there is no limit at the moment, although we're still figuring out what the ideal is. But what we found so far is that if it gets too long, it might actually be detrimental. So the box that we showed was based on our research to try and encourage to keep it within around 4 lines. But technically, it could be longer, and that's something we're constantly iterating, just as with every part of our product that uses AI. Will there be the ability to create dashboards using lenses? Yes, great question, Kirsten. Yep, lenses will be available to use across every part of Thematic that you currently use it for. So lenses, answers, dashboards. I've demonstrated analysis tools today, but it will be available for lenses, answers, workflows, and every part of Thematic. That's the plan. So this is, we are building lenses to eventually replace in Thematic what we currently call data sets. But the functionality, you won't lose any functionality of your existing data sets. Your current data sets will essentially be migrated into a lens with one source. So everything you can do today, you'll be able to do, but you'll be able to do more if you want to. That hasn't happened yet, but that's something we've got planned for the future once we're ready. So just making sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, Molly, how are the actions generated? So we have a actions agent with a flow that I didn't show today in the demo that allows you to guide Thematic with what actions you're interested in or what are the actions that you need to take. And through that description, our agent learns how to determine what action should be assigned to each feedback. And that setting up process is one where you have input, and that's a really important part of it, and you get to check whether you like it or not. Awesome. I think that's all the questions that I can see. If you haven't already voted on the poll that Alana talked about, please do so. We're planning to do more of these webinars in the future, but we want to talk about things that you are interested in, that you want to know about. So this is the best way for you to have that input. So on your screen, there's a poll that you can vote on. I see people have already started to vote on that, but yeah, please do that before you go. Otherwise, thank you so much for coming today. And Alana, is there anything you want to say before you wrap up?
No, that's it. That's great. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for your time.
Have a good day.
Bye.